Welcome back racers to the channel and another video on Gran Turismo Sport. This time we are testing out the Dodge and the Corvette. Now yes, we did try the Dodge before, but that was on the American servers, and now obviously we are on the EMEA servers. So starting in 6th and some pretty fast drivers in this race. I think I set my lap time, I can't remember what my lap time is, probably a 0.6 or whatever it is. But I set that in the Supra, so obviously the Dodge Viper is a couple of tenths slower, but I can really get some consistency with this car, or, well, that remains to be seen in this race. Coming through the first corner then, everyone's got through pretty nicely and pretty safely, which you expect to see racing with some pretty fast drivers. You expect them to be quite consistent, but there is that argument or that kind of thinking that people can just be hot lappers, so they can put in a really fast time and then obviously not be so good in the race. Limitless getting a little bit wobbly out there, and the Spaniard in front of us not getting a great run, and we're going to try it round the outside. Dodge not too slow in a straight line, I think a little bit faster than the Audi anyway, but going around the outside, I've done this a couple of times and it just understeers, so we're on the grass now, losing that grip, trying to hold it, and the car's just going to sort of just spin around really quickly. I thought I had it, I thought I held it, but obviously I did not, and we find ourselves in 13th place, so a pretty long slog back up to the front of the grid then, and only 5 laps doesn't give us a lot of time to get it back. But you know, all we can do is get our head down, get some consistent laps in, think about our braking points, our entry angles, when we can get on the accelerator, and just try and be pretty smooth and grind out those consistent laps, and hopefully people in front of us will make mistakes. The good thing is, looking ahead of us, the cars are quite close together, so that will mean, or hopefully, that they are going to start battling, which is going to slow each other down, and then that will just make it easier for us to close the gap. As you can tell, we've already closed quite a few tenths just on that first corner, as they are going 2 by 2 through this right hand corner here, which doesn't work, which we'll find out in the next race. So into the double apexed awkward corner here, it's all going to bunch up a little bit, and we are right on the back of the finished driver in the Supra now. Heavy braking, can we get a nice run out of here? Yes we can, and it's going to be better than the finished driver, so we are in that suck zone, but we know how powerful and how fast that Supra is in a straight line, and that's just going to keep him in that position in front of us. Into the braking zone then, he's just going to sort of just show me the inside, and he's not going to come across, and I'm just going to take it from him, like taking candy from a baby. He just gave me the space, and I put my car in that space and took that position. So up to 12th position, and as we come around here, Portuguese player has made an oopsie into the wall and going around the outside of 2 Germans who have obviously made mistakes as well in getting penalties, so that's actually up to 9th position then, so a good 4 gainer on that lap, and in the slipstream of the yellow Mercedes in front of us. The Dodge really powerful in the slipstream, as you can tell here as we come across the start finish line. Moving to the inside then, going to try a move up into turn 1. I'm fully aside him, so he's just going to have to respect my car's position and not cut across me. So very good aware driving from him allowed us to make that move. So up to 8th position, and behind the Dutch driver Joule 2411 in another Mercedes. So the AMG seems pretty powerful around this track. A lot of people using it in race. The Audi obviously is very difficult to handle, so when you're in that race situation and you have to dance around other cars, you really want a car that you can rely on, which I think the AMG is that car. But making up some good time, really closing up the distance to us and the Dutch player in the braking zone there, but you can see how close Limitless is behind us as well, so we do need to think about our defensive duties as well as our attacking movements or thought processes. So come around here, someone else has got a penalty, looks like quite a hefty one, so we're just going to go straight through the Italian there, making most of the ghosting system, and that's us up to 7th position. Looking up the inside there, the Italian has put himself up the inside of Limitless and ourselves, and that's going to be a, well, that's it. I think it was a bit of 50-50. I think we turned in and we made contact with him as much as he made contact with us. Probably my fault, actually, sort of looking at it, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about that kind of incident there, as we now find ourselves in 12th position, and we find ourselves at the bottom of a very very large mountain to overcome now, as we have 2 laps to climb as many places as possible. Coming into the double right-hander, then the space opens up and we just send it. I'm just going to send it, bro, up the inside of the Spanish player. So hopefully that is all said and done. He shall bother us no more. So we need to focus on catching up with the Finnish player. So coming around the deceptive right-hand corner here, the other Italian in the Audi R8 has spun around, as well as another German. Oh, it's the German in the yellow Mercedes there. He has got a penalty, and that slowed him right down and brought him back into our grasps. So we come around the final corner on the track. He gets a little bit of a better exit, but we are in that slipstream in the suck zone, so we will be pulled along the start-finish straight. So on to the final lap of the race. How many positions can we gain? We can see 7th and 8th in front of us, but without them making mistakes, that is going to be very, very hard to get. Coming through turn 1 and turn 2, the German is just going to go a little bit wide, and that's just going to give us the opportunity to just go thank you very much and move up into 9th position. So once again trying to track down that damn Finnish driver, planting down on the power nice and early to try and get a good run down to this tight left hand. And as we come through, the Finnish driver is going to get on the power too soon and just overcook it and spin into the wall. Also, Jules 2411 has had a bad exit as well, and we're going to go around the outside of that purple AMG and up into the final section of corners. Can we hold off now, or is anyone in front of us going to make more mistakes? So we are back up to 2.4 seconds away from Limitless. So to be honest, when we haven't made those mistakes, or just that little bump that sent us off the track, we've actually driven pretty darn well. Maybe without these mistakes and the bump off, maybe we could have finished top 3, as the top drivers as well had quite a few altercations or mistakes themselves. So I think consistency in this race was at a premium. But coming across the line then in 7th position, not too bad. We were down in 13th, and then we went down to 12th as well. So a 7th place in a pretty underpowered car in terms of performance against the other cars is pretty darn good, I think. So moving on to race 2 then, and yes, we are in the Corvette C7 this time, starting in 8th position. Familiar names all around in the driver lineup there. So let's see what we can do with the Corvette. Hopefully we got all of our mistakes out of the way in the first race, and we can focus on having a good, solid, incident-free race. So fingers crossed that is what we are going to get. So as we come through T1 and T2, Cam Thunders in front of us is going to get a little bit slidey, and that's going to give us a better run into turn 3. Now, I didn't want to go for a move, I just wanted to pressure him into a wider line. And sometimes when you pressure players into being off their racing line and out of their comfort zone, you will get them to make a mistake, and that will give you a position. As we saw, I think it was a Spanish player spinning around, having a little pirouette, and that's going to give us 7th position. So still behind Cam in front of us. That Ford GT is very fast in a straight line. We're going around the outside of the Portuguese player into this right-hander, learning from our mistake in the Dodge. We're going to keep it nice and close to the apex. I've gone a bit deep into that corner, so coming back for the late apex. And we're going to find ourselves on the outside of Cam Thunder. And again, as he's on the inside line, we're going to go for that late apex, try and get a nice smoother run out of the corner. We got a little bit too eager on the accelerator coming out of that corner, so we just had to lift off and get the car turned a little bit more before applying that accelerator once again. Just noticing as well that we have that German behind us pretty close to us, as close as we are to Cam in front of us as well. So once again, I know I'm thinking about attacking and how can I get past Cam in front, but we've also got to have in the back of our mind, yes, there is that German behind us. So coming into turn 1 then, turn 2, the driver's just going to get held up, and that's going to give us the opportunity just to look up the inside again. Not as close as we were the first lap, but still going to pressure him into going onto that wider line, which might give us an invitation to throw it up the inside here. No, not this time, but the Ford driver's doing a very good job of staying on the power but being on the outside. It's always very, very difficult because you might find yourself getting on the power too soon, and because you're already on that wider line, you just run off the track. So he's doing a very good defensive job. The driver in front, I think that is Limitless once again, does have a penalty, so that might bring that German player back towards us. Going for the around the outside, but I think that's a very long way around, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Up the inside then, he can't come over onto the racing line, so he's going to have to stay narrow, and we're going to try to go for that cutback. And we do get a nicer run out of the corner. He goes to the left of Limitless, I go to the right, which gives me the inside line. But we are giving each other too much space here. We could be much closer, but we do have the final inside line onto the start finish straight, and that is going to be us up into 4th position. But can we keep the position? We know how fast that Ford is going to the inside then, but they're not going to follow us over, just showing how fast that Ford is, that he's still catching us without slipstream. And into turn 1, because I'm on that narrower line, I've got my angles all mixed up, and we're just going to slide out onto the grass, and that's going to give 2 positions away just because I was on that narrower line. And the fact that I didn't then adapt my entry angle, my speed, my braking, all of that jazz, I didn't adapt to my new position on the track. Getting a little bit slide as we come out of there, maybe due to the lack of grip, maybe dirty tyres, but we made the slightest contact with the Croatian driver, obviously giving us a SR down, but there we go. We are now in a battle with the Croatian, and just once again highlighting that consistency will give you positions in races. We make that one mistake, we lose 3 positions. But anyway, focus back on the battle. We're going to go for the around the outside move into this right-hander. Now he must give us space, otherwise he's going to run us off, and that is about as little space as we could deal with. So very good driving from us both, and he still has the inside on this corner, but he's just not going to be able to keep it alongside to warrant a move into the final corner. And coming onto the start finish straight then, we are going to have just the slightest of leads over that SLS AMG behind us. So 2 laps to go. Can we go about closing down any distance between us and the German in front of us? Lap 4 we didn't, but the Croatian still there in slipstream range, so obviously still applying that pressure from behind. And through T2 we see the German, who was up in 2nd place. He's obviously made a mistake coming through turn 1 and turn 2, and that's going to put us up to 5th, and he's gone from 2nd to 6th just because of that one mistake. So as we complete this lap, trying to track down Limitless in front of us, but it's not going to be enough. We're going to finish in 5th position. Just highlighting the consistency once again. I've probably said it loads of times, and I'm probably going to say it a million more times in the future, but consistency does give you better end results in races. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? You don't make mistakes, you stay in the position that you are. And how do you get that consistency, you may ask? And it's just repetition. The more laps you do around a track, the better you're going to be. I mean, that is once again a no-brainer. The more time you put in equals the better result you're going to get out, and that goes for pretty much everything in life. So a little bit of a life lesson here. If you want to succeed at something or just become better at it, you have to put the time in, no matter what it is. And we haven't really put in the time on this track this week, so we haven't got a really good qualifying lap time, or we're not winning these races because I haven't put the time in, and that's pretty much as simple as it goes. And with that life lesson, we're going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching, liking and subscribing. I hope you took something from the video like I do every time that I make these things, and thank you to the channel members for doing your thing, obviously, and we'll see you in the next one.